Hiya. Back in October, I found myself in a surprisingly still sunny part of Sussex, recording some material for a corporate client. Part of it was some interview material from this chap we're looking at now, and he was busy doing what he does, so I found myself waiting quite a while for him to come. So, to fill in some of the time while we waited for him in this dreadful location, I thought I'd talk you through my camera packages that I was using at the time, because people are interested in this kind of stuff. So here it is.
Unusually, I've been able to drive right to the spot where we're going to do this. Lovely and quiet, surrounded by lovely leafy trees. Yeah, perfect. So no shortage of kit and no shortage of time to set it up. So it's kind of the perfect outdoor interview setup, limited only by what kit I've brought with me. So here's my FS7 Mark II with the Sony 18 to 110mm power zoom lens. What can I tell you about this rig? There are a few things that are sort of custom. One of them is this monitor arm. If you're actually using a shoulder pad like this and you want it to get to balance with a big lens like this, you need the camera way back on the shoulder pad, and that means you need the viewfinder way forward on the camera, and the monitor arm that comes with the FS7 as standard ain't long enough to do that. So this is my sort of custom one. It turns out it's a really odd size of tubing. It's sort of slightly squared off half-inch tubing. So I got some square half-inch aluminium tubing, and got a friend who's got a lathe to just round off the corners to make it the same section as the original Sony one. Unfortunately, he lathed off a fraction too much, which made it floppy in these clips. So I just put some heat shrink tubing on it to just bring the size up a little bit. And the only heat shrink tubing I had was red, so now I've got a red monitor arm, but it kind of matches my little sprig cable clips here, so that's quite nice. People are often asking about the strap. Yeah, I was at the Conservative Party conference this time last year. Yeah, it might have been actually. Maybe it was the year before. Not really sure now. Anyway, I noticed that the broadcast guys there and girls with those enormous broadcast cameras they have were all using straps. Well, given the weight of the things, you can sort of see why. And it turns out that there's a standard for these little studs that these broadcast camera straps fit on. And the studs are quite big and beefy and a lot more reassuring than the sort of typical mounting stuff you get with an SLR camera strap. And you can get these straps. This one is sort of lightly used, I think. It's a bit harder to get the studs, but you can if you shop around. You have to look at sort of Vocus and CVP and places like that, sort of smaller, not so broadcast orientated. People don't tend to have them, and I'm afraid they're eye-wateringly expensive when you do find them, but I think they're worthwhile. So that's the strap, because I'm getting on a bit in years, and I tend to find that if I carry the camera in my hand all day, I start to suffer from tennis elbow, and with the strap I can just sling the camera over my shoulder and take the pressure off my elbows. It also leaves my hands free to open doors or carry tripods or whatever. So it's quite useful. The only thing you've got to watch out for is that while you're carrying it, sort of at hip height over your shoulder, your bum tends to rub and press all these buttons. So when you come back to the camera, your settings can be in a bit of a mess if you're not careful, and that can be baffling the first couple of times it happens. The trick is to just turn the camera off when you're going to sling it on your shoulder, because it only takes a few seconds to boot up again anyway. So that's the strap. Headphones, I don't like in-ear monitors and this kind of thing, so I use a pair of these sort of cheap and cheerful Sony headphones, which can live tucked underneath there when not needed. What else can I show you? Oh, well, there is a small rig shoulder plate. It's a bit heavy, a bit chunky, adds rather too much height to the whole rig, but it does the doing. So, and it's so useful to be able to put the camera on your shoulder and straight on the tripod without messing around replacing shoulder pads with dovetail plates and all this kind of thing. Absolutely what you need. So let's come around the other side and see what else we've got. So, reading top to bottom, I think many of us are guilty of always shooting interviews with our interviewee looking to camera left, because that way we can stand on the monitor side of the camera and have them looking off camera towards us. Trouble is, when every interview from a set is that way round, it's kind of a bit tedious to edit them or intercut them. So when I can, I try and shoot them the other way round, but that means I can't see the monitor. So on top of the camera I have my venerable Aperture monitor, field monitor. I think it's a 7-inch monitor. It's not the world's best, does the doing, means I can check framing and exposure roughly. And it's just on a magic arm on the top there, and it's got the old Sony NPF battery on the top, and that just plugs into the HDMI. Also obvious on this side, my Deity Duo RX radio receiver. It does the doing for me most of the time. I found in environments where there's lots of Wi-Fi going on, like that party conference, doesn't work worth a damn. You've got to find somewhere that's a bit quieter and isolated from all the Wi-Fi traffic. But in out of the way places like this, it's no problem at all, not a problem at all, and it just gets the doing done. And I've got a couple of body pack transmitters for that, and which I'll show you in a minute, I've got a shotgun with the plug on it. So yeah, so I've got my camera mic going into channel 2 with the phantom power, and I've got my plug on from the off-camera shotgun on channel 1. Up top I've got a cheap and cheerful Gear for Music shotgun mic with a Rode Softy on, and that just lives there. Oh yeah, down here you'll notice I'm not using the Shape extension arm that everybody uses, but I have got an equally flexible quick release arm thingy so that you can actually put the camera down on a flat surface. So this is I think it's a Condor Blue gadget, and the problem with the Shape arm is that it sticks out this way a lot. It takes up a lot of room in your bag, and I found it just wouldn't really fit in my bag with it on, and that's a real pain. This Condor Blue thing, it's got a little bit of play in it, which can be a little bit worrying, but once you know about that, you know, once it's latched into position, it doesn't actually give way. It just feels like it might, and it's fine. A lot smaller and lighter than the Shape arm, and cheaper, but doing the doing. The only thing you've got to watch is that when you've got this lens on its wide angle end, if you put the handle up here, you can see it in the image. It's easy to miss when the sun's shining in the viewfinder. So that's the camera. The rest of the setup is simply a shotgun microphone in a dead cat on a stand with a plug-on radio transmitter. It's the Deity one. And my talent will be standing with his back to the sun, so the sun will be acting like a rim light, and also he won't be squinting then, but it does leave one side of his face slightly shaded, so I've just put that white reflector there just to throw a little bit of light back in to talent's face. And I will show you how that's going to look if I had anybody here, but I haven't. So that's that. The other thing in the background, you'll notice, is my truck. And the camper part of this I've had for decades, more than 20 years anyway. I think I bought it in 94 or 95. It's now on its 4th truck, and this just goes anywhere. I can live in it pretty comfortably, often do on jobs. It's been all over Europe. Yeah, and when I'm waiting for my talent to arrive, as I am now, here's my notebook with my questions that I'm going to ask him. While I'm waiting, I can brew up, and I'm going to enjoy a nice cup of tea now. Cheers.